Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skysworld.com for life coaching and mentoring. It's bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. I got a rainy Friday. Let's get into today's topic. I want to philosophize a little bit with you guys, try to figure out why we have such a high crime rate in today's society. In America particularly, all of Western civilization is having this problem. Some of this stuff is obvious, and all you have to do is watch the news. We have poverty, we have an immigration problem, we have all kinds of problems. But let's just identify some of these things so we can understand it. Understanding the problem helps us to diagnose the problem. So here's my take on it. We have a lot of desperation in our society. I've been poor, I've been homeless, I've seen criminal activity from the bottom. I was a criminal for a long time. My father was a criminal. My grandfather was a criminal. Criminal activity goes back in my family 400 years. So it's something I know about. Desperation leads people to criminal activity. When you're desperate, you don't care about the law. You're going to act out. A lot of people that are desperate are stupid. It's rare that we see a highly intelligent person in a desperate mode, because intelligent people, when you gain smarts of any kind, I'm not just talking about book smarts, but when you gain intelligence, you have options. when you're just some dumbass, and I know what it's like to feel this way, you see no options. Sometimes your only option feels like violence, feels like a pistol, feels like harming somebody, like robbing somebody. Sometimes you get into this mode, this idiot mode of ignorance, where you say, fuck the world, I don't care about nothing. That's always from a place of ignorance. Intelligent people never say that kind of stuff, because they always have options. So we have this desperation, and it's around several areas with people that are desperate because of mental health problems. You go to the hood. I've lived in a bunch of them. I did a tour of ghettos. Every single low-income neighborhood I've ever lived in my life was infested with mental illness. All kinds of mental illness, and there's no help. People need help. Mental illness is a huge, huge problem. Education. Almost every single person in the ghetto is stupid, and I mean that honestly. They may not be low IQ. They may be average or normal or above normal people, but they're all stupid. Formal education is important. Schools in the ghetto, and I know this from experience, often can go an entire school year without school books. You had school books when you went to school. There are schools that don't have school books. The teacher has a copy, and everybody else has to work off of notes. Maybe you have to share a book. Maybe 4 people have to share a book. That makes it incredibly hard. There's overcrowded classrooms. We could go through a litany of problems with the education system, and how the school in the ghetto, the public school that's taxpayer funded in the ghetto, is not equal in any way to the school across town in the nicer neighborhood. They don't have the same teachers, they don't have the same school books, they don't have the same type of school security, they don't have the same type of administration. Everything is different. And that has a profound effect on the children. When you're raising stupid children, you're raising criminals. Obviously, there's economic despair. And that one's a hard one. What do? Just go give a bunch of poor people jobs? I've found, in my experience, coming up in the ghetto, running with gangs, that a lot of people, particularly men, don't want to get jobs out of laziness. Every single crack dealer I've ever met in my life did it out of laziness. They will lie to you. Every single crack dealer I've ever met has been a dirty, rotten liar. And they will tell you, I'm doing this for my daughter. I need to be able to pay my bills. Shut up, you stupid lying bitch. You could go to the factory and get a job. You just don't want to. You could go to McDonald's and get a job. You're just embarrassed. You think your friends are going to make fun of you. You have this fantasy of being like the rap stars. You've been tricked. You want to be like the sports stars. You want to jump over all kinds of hard work to get to the success because you're stupid, lazy. I've seen it. I've been there. I've stood on street corners full of guys, every one of them refusing to go and fill out an application somewhere. Refuse to. All of them think that they have some reason why, and they're all stupid with mental health problems. So that's a lot. Digest all that. That is a lot. You want to know why we have such problem in the ghetto? Just that right there is a lot, but it gets worse. The Republicans are absolutely 100% correct with this criticism, that without consequences, without punishment, people will go crazy. Our society will turn into the purge if we don't have cops, if we don't have prisons. And I believe personally, this is my personal belief, I believe we need robo-cops, Judge Dredd, kick-ass cops that will twist your neck off, cops that will beat your ass, cops that terrify you. Forget this fantasy of Andy Griffith, this nice guy cop without a gun who's going to come and be your social worker. That shit don't work. That's a fucking TV show. That's a fantasy. Now, I'm not suggesting that we overly militarize our society and turn this place into a prison, and living in the ghetto absolutely can feel like a prison. And anybody who's lived in a real ghetto, the hood, you know what I'm talking about. But there needs to be a legal system. We need to have a strong court system, judges that aren't corrupt, judges that aren't biased, judges that read the book and do the laws by the book. You need punishment. Your son might need to do 5 years in prison. You little helicopter parents that want to keep your kids safe, you allow them to do anything they want. You don't ever spank them. And then when they're looked at with any kind of legal punishment, you want them to get out of it because all you want is your little kid to be safe. Your kid might need some serious danger. Your kid might need to go risk their lives in prison for a while. I know a lot of people who've been to prison and that it has saved their lives. Without it, without that experience of going to prison, they would be dead. Prison saved them and turned them into incredible men. So I think we need a strong legal system to lock people up. Another aspect of this, of why is there crime, because that's what we're philosophizing on this, why is there so much crime in society? We've had a slow decline over the last 45, 50 years in spirituality and religion. So less people in Western civilization, this is trackable, there's statistics for this, from Europe to Australia, America, Canada, people are going to church less. Now, out of all the countries in Western civilization, America has traditionally, for a long time, been the most religious. Here in America, we don't notice because a lot of us don't travel, but we are a lot more religious than Europe, and always have been. That's waning in America. And we've seen this in other countries where as atheism takes over and religion shuts down, people stop going to mosques and churches and synagogues, and they just sit home and watch TV, playing video games, doing drugs, jacking off. That society as a whole starts to deteriorate. morals and virtue and character start to deteriorate. Men start to turn into little boys because they don't have the guidance they need or an ideal to live up to. We find statistically, this isn't just an opinion, that atheism brings a certain level of depression and misery. We have to be able to think about where we get our virtues from and our morals from. It's not natural. We're not just born with it, and you don't get it from the cereal you eat in the morning or the dinner you eat at night. It has to be something taught and practiced. This is one of the benefits of organized religion. So atheism is taking over, and our virtues and morals are taking a huge hit. And we're seeing this out in the streets. We're seeing generations of young men who don't have virtues and morals. They don't have them. I talk to a lot of young men, and some of these idiots are so airheaded. That's all I can think. They have no clue. And you teach them this stuff and they eat it up and they're just like, oh wow. It's like brand new, and you just wonder, where was your fucking father? Why don't you know this stuff? Basic rights and wrongs. And that leads me to the final area of why we've seen this breakdown in society, why we've seen so much crime, and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It's fatherhood. The breakdown of the family, but specifically the destruction of fatherhood. This is a huge topic. I could talk about this in probably 11 or 12 videos. So I'm not going to open that can of worms too much, but I want to put it out there in your mind that, and I've seen this firsthand, even in the ghetto. There are two-parent families in the ghetto, but there's a lot of single mothers. Single mothers can't raise boys. That's a statement, and I'm saying that. I know it's a shot across the bow. Single mothers cannot raise boys. Men raise boys. A family without a father is a family that's doomed. Fathers need to be mentors and heroes to their sons. It's not enough just to be a good dad. You need to be an excellent dad. And without excellent dads, we see criminals. Without fathers that are going to take an active role in their kids' lives to try to mentor them into being the best versions of themselves that they can be, little boys go out in the streets and sell drugs and shoot people. Hope this has helped some of you who don't understand why we have crime in America.